If I asked you what the greatest comeback ever was, you might resort to a few answers. You might resort to season 2 of Severance. You might resort to literally any announcement of any season renewal for Succession because that show fucks. Or you might even resort to the return of iDubbbz's Content Cop. But I'm here to tell you that there is a right answer, and none of those are it. No, the greatest comeback of all time was the comeback of incredibly niche micro celebrity YouTuber Clarissa, also known online as Taco Ket, and her battling it out at the DMV. And now, by battling it out at the DMV, I don't mean I was being incredibly wild at the DMV. You know, I had like a sword propped out of one window and then like another thing on the other, and I was just, going Mad Max in there. No, that is not what occurred. In fact, something even more epic occurred today that I actually went. I got my license. I'm a licensed driver. Holy shit. I felt like there was a bigger chance that I was going to stumble upon a unicorn one day. I thought that was a lot more likely to happen than me getting my license. Me, of all people. And at the DMV that I went to, which I will now reveal what DMV I went to, because, okay, in California, if you want a driver's test, good luck trying to get it within the week or within the next week. You're not going to get it unless you book, and I'm going to allow you guys to guess. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to guess. Unless you book at the Pasadena DMV. The Pasadena DMV has multiple time slots. In fact, if I was standing by my mother who went with me this time. The first time I went, my father went with me, but she was looking at several other DMVs because we were already not content with the situation at that DMV. Good golly, it was not good. So we were thinking, if this doesn't work out, we're gonna cut our losses, cancel this appointment. Well, I was thinking that. She wasn't thinking that. She didn't have that in her plan to leave the DMV. That was me. Because I am a natural born quitter. Not a natural born leader, but a quitter. Absolutely. Mentally, I was getting ready to leave. But my mom was just curious, what is the drive test appointment situation at the other DMVs? The soonest at literally every other DMV that's local, because I'm not driving over an hour away within California still, but I'm not driving like hours away to have an exam done. That's just fucking preposterous, and I'm not doing that. I am not doing that. So what did I do? She was looking through it. The soonest appointment was May. First and foremost, I've got school. I've got shit to do. So that wasn't going to work out for anyone. We tried a few other ones. The latest one that we saw was July. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to wait till July. I'm not going to do that. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time. So we stood our asses in that line. And the person at that table, I don't know if this was a new hire or not. I understand that the people at the DMV are under much stress, but I feel like a part of them just enjoy adding to the additional stress of the people there that need to get business done. This man was just looking at the same paper for like at least 5 minutes, because honestly, he wasn't getting shit done. No offense, but full offense, what are you doing? I'm not one to judge the way that people do their job, but I think to some extent, yes, I do need to judge the way that you are doing your job. Because when he left, I think he had enough and he needed to go get like a break or something. He needed a break, and I think that was for the best. This other woman took over. She got every single customer in front of me like out of the way like that. It was no big deal. So we get there. I put my stupid little thumb on the thing and I like scan it. We do all of that, right? And now we have to go get the car. The car was with us when we got there, but the car was no longer with us when we entered to go get the papers and all that done. And let me explain to you why. So the DMV, I assumed that making an appointment in the early morning, it was going to be way more convenient and much faster. Maybe the streets wouldn't be so busy. That is a load of horseshit. A lot of people like to advise people to just be early and on time for things, or even better if you're early. That's a load of horseshit. That does not always apply, and I'm here to explain that to you because we went there somewhat early. We still had enough time to kill, but the thing about it is there was little to no parking unless we had come, maybe like an hour or two earlier, which completely fucking unnecessary, by the way, because the line for anyone who needs literally anything else to DMV versus the drive exam appointment line, completely different lines, okay? And the one for the drive test appointment is the shortest fucking line ever. I walked in there, my mom was trying to look for parking, and I need my mom present because I needed a licensed driver there with me, okay, and they send me out. They're like, your licensed driver is not with you, get the fuck out of the line. And again, it was at that point that it was the guy that took his sweet time. He was very quick with dismissing us, but in terms of actually helping out people that, they had their parent, they had their papers and all that with them, slow as hell. But anyways, back to that situation. So my mom was looking for parking and we meet outside, and I would let her know, you need to be present with me for this. And it's like, there's really no winning, because now you're trying to look for parking, and you also need the person who is looking for parking for you needs to also be present with you. At that point, you're just gonna have to invite the entire nuclear family over if you want it to be done like this. The person that is going to quote unquote like represent you in a way, and your driving test thing, and then somebody else to park the car, maybe somebody to hold the door open for you on your way in, that kind of thing. But anyways, my mom parks the car, and to be fair, we were parked in a section where there is a sign that reads like for end of the park test. Oh yes, parking for end of drive test. That is what it reads, okay? As you can see, I think I smiled a lot more in the video where I'm sitting here telling you guys, guess who failed? But I think I'm a little bit more like alterada, like a little bit more, my mood is a little bit heightened just remembering the bullshit that we had to go through at the DMV. Why is it a thing? So we're hopping off the car. One of the instructors stops us. I immediately clock who this man is. I'm not going to name drop because Google reviews name drops enough as it is. And that might have not even been the individual that is consistently name dropped across YouTube comment sections, Google reviews, etc. when it comes to that DMV. But I will say, not a joy. Maybe seeing me triggered a flashback in which, this woman drove into the street because she was very anxious that she was taking too long, and it could have resulted in a very horrible car accident. Maybe he got a little flashback there and he was a little bit, not hostile, but just not in the best mood. Maybe he had an earlier shift start. I don't know how it works over there with these instructors, but what he says is, my mom asks, where do we park, and he says, anywhere else. If you don't move the car, there will be no drive test. I'm sorry, but park anywhere else that is only for the end of drive test, as the sign says. That would have been a sufficient answer. What are you talking about? There will be no drive test. That implies that we look like the type to just, argue and throw a fit about, hey, why can't we park here, to the point where it's going to resort to some sort of punishment where it's like, fine, you want to throw a fit? No drive test for you. Like we're children. And that was condescending as shit. We did not like that. That individual, that man was not a joy to even be near. I am so happy he was not my drive instructor again. I hope he personally said, I do not want to drive with this girl in that car because she is danger. I really hope it was like that, because I think with the way that the order of the instructors were going, I think they cycle out like 2 or 3 instructors. I thought I was really going to get him again. But no, I got saved. And so we go get the car, right? Because we had to park outside of the DMV at that point. Because, that was just not happening. No cars wanted to leave, I think. I am so happy I did not fail. I may not look it, I may look like, this is a very much a nothing burger news for me, a nothing burger accomplishment. Hey, you got your driver's license, but I'm actually pretty ecstatic about it. I'm very happy. I get in the car and I start to feel nervous, but it wasn't as nervous as I felt the first time. I'm kind of glad that my mom came with me and not my dad, because no shade, love my father, but my father his best advice in dealing with nerves is just don't be anxious, as he continues to elaborate on the extent of my anxiety. Like, he starts to go to detail right now, like, te tienes que calmar, you need to be calm, you need to do this, you need to not feel like something bad is gonna happen, because what if something bad does happen? How are you gonna respond to that then? And it's like, sir, this is not helping. And then he'll tell me to breathe, and then he'll continue to elaborate on my anxiety, and why my anxiety is very much an obstacle in this. And it is, I'm aware of that, but I don't need to be reminded of that. But anyways, my mom was there. We were just making like casual conversation. I didn't even notice that, I had been driving into the spot. I was just very relaxed, and then I realized, oh, I'm in the spot where, this means that an instructor is going to walk up next to me and therefore commence the test. So then I felt a little nervous, but I just breathed. I took off my sweater because it was getting hot. It wasn't hot when we got there. Great instructor, by the way. Absolutely. Like, I have no complaints. It was the best way that this could have gone. Like, it could have. I was kind of shocked that I passed, by the way, at the end. But very nice guy. He does ask me, however, what happened the first time you took your test? And I was like, well, like, it was like a little bit of an awkward situation explaining what happened. But I explained it. We're driving. I barely passed. I will say, I passed, but barely. Because, those minor mistakes, good Lord. You guys, I don't have my score sheet on me right now, but if you look at it, there's a big 15 in that corner, and that is the max. That's the absolute limit of errors. It's like, you get up to 15, girl. So you have a good window of space. I didn't think I was going to get that many, but that's not even my issue anymore because I passed. At the beginning, there was a right turn I needed to make, and I didn't make it bad, but I do feel like the instructor didn't think I was going to make it at the speed I did. I didn't make it fast, but it was maybe a little bit surprising because immediately when I hit that turn, the arm went up to, I don't know what that is. Is it like a hanger? It's this thing at the top of the car that, like a lot of people in scary situations regarding cars, they'll hold on to that for dear life, as if they're going to fly out of the car when, no, we all have our seatbelts on, but I hit that little maneuver and it was kind of scary. Another scary thing that happened, it wasn't scary, but to a drive instructor who probably has like a perception of me, if these instructors got to talking, and it's like, that girl almost got us killed the first time. But there was an Amazon truck in front of us, and the only way around it, was to wait for it to continue going forward, and I'm not gonna do that. Which is, again, the whole thing about me not waiting and me lacking patience. That has a lot to do with why I failed the very first time. But I wasn't going to wait. So I put my signal and I just went around the truck. And he said, good. I was like, okay, I'm doing something good here. And other than that, there was no issues that would have made me fail. Minor issues include steering control. I lack that. Speed. Sometimes I'm not going the right speed. Sometimes I'm going a little over, but for the most part, I'm pretty much under the speed limit a lot of the time. But it wasn't enough to, warrant the test ending and me failing, so that's pretty good. What else? I don't really check my mirrors in a way that's obvious, that's noticeable. I know that I was checking my mirrors through the entire exam. I was going, that's the one for the back. But he doesn't know that. He's not looking at my eyes. He's looking to make sure that I have my head on a swivel, and my head was not swiveling. So that was pretty difficult to, get out there like, hey, I am doing all this. But other than that, I passed. When we got to the DMV, it was really funny though, because I was sure that, hey, I made it back to the DMV. This test felt like 15 to 20 minutes, but that doesn't mean I failed, that I passed. So I was ready to get into that, park my car at the end of drive test parking structure, parking line, parking area, it's not a structure, and be told, we're not going to give you your license today. Like that kind of thing. No. I was pleasantly surprised, audibly pleasantly surprised when he said, okay, congratulations, you passed. I was like, huh? Like, oh, really? That was the exact words I used. Oh, really? As if I'm doubting the instructor on the job that, he was hired to do and see if I was a fit driver. So essentially he let me go, even with the errors, like, cause I apanzazo, that's a thing, barely there. I barely made the cut there. So yeah. He said he was gonna tell my mom that I failed. It's like, no, don't worry, I'll do it for you. I did tell my mom that I failed, but no, immediately. Well, no, I didn't tell her I failed. I kind of made like a sad face, like, but I passed. So, and I feel very confident in releasing this one video I filmed in the parking lot of my school maybe like a week or two ago, you know, when I was unlicensed and should not have been driving alone without a licensed driver. Yeah, I'll post that another day. But yeah, it's a great day today. Okay, that's all. Goodbye.